intuition, whatever you want to call it. I knew I needed to go. And I went, and I started in the West Bank, Allenby Bridge, through Jordan. And I traveled there. At that point, it's ironic, because I'd just done the Human Shield action to Iraq, so I was on BBC Hard Talk, CNN, you name it, I was on all of it. So it's not like they didn't know who I am. Like, you guys know who I am, but for whatever reason, I made it into the West Bank, I lived in the West Bank, I traveled through the West Bank, through the checkpoints, watching the lines for the Palestinians, and then my line as a Westerner, and I watched all the indignities. I was blown away by the humanity within these people. Like, how do you manage to maintain your humanity in the face of such grotesque inhumanity? It inspired me then, it inspires me now, and I've said it over and over. If I was born Palestinian, I don't have that nobility. I would be fighting, boy. You could not pay me to be nonviolent. No way, no way. So I watched this, and then I went to Israel. I actually went in Israel. I did. I even now I find it hard to believe that I was in there, but I did, and I went and I traveled and I met people, and I had the opposite experience. It's kind of like the English and the Irish. The English are known for being mean. You know, in America we call it, you know, selfish, non-giving, like, you know, really not, like really. The Irish are the opposite. They will give you the shirt off their back. I remember I was sitting outside a pub having a cigarette, doing all those things that you shouldn't do as a Muslim, but nonetheless, I was there, and there was a homeless guy, and I was talking, and there was a proper Irishman there, and the guy who was like Eastern European, he hadn't said he was homeless yet, and the question came up, where are you staying at night? And he started saying how he had no place to go, and immediately the Irishman, oh, we wouldn't be here any of that now, you'll be coming home with me, you know. Like literally, he just met this man on the street, he's inviting him back to his home. Good luck finding an Englishman who's going to do that for you, I tell you. So it's the same type of thing in Palestine. What I saw in Palestine, and that's why, what did they tell you about Palestine? Don't go to the West Bank, it's dangerous and all that. Not just for Muslims, but for Christians. Oh my God, you're tempting death, they will do. It's the opposite. It's the opposite. If you go there, you will be changed. You will grow. You will develop a bond with these people. That's why they don't want you to go there. They don't want you to see that. So, where are we now with this? There is something beautiful out of all of this horrendousness. Does that kind of sound even shocking to hear? Like, what is beautiful about what we're seeing? What is beautiful about children? I mean, I think everybody here to some degree has done. I've been watching. I'm a hard man. I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot. I've been through a lot. I've seen a lot. I've been in war zones as an active participant in combat. I've seen death. I've seen stuff. I'm a hard man. But I have found myself crying more than once, just looking at these children and the parents, and just, I remember watching a video just the other day. It was this young girl. She was probably, I don't know, maybe 8, 9, and you know, one of tens of thousands at this point, but it was just this one. All it was footage of her. She was clearly in the hospital. She had marks all over her face, clearly from flying debris, shrapnel or whatever. And she was in, you know, those blankets to try and keep you warm, those silver ones that retain the heat. And she's shivering, and she's looking, and she's there, but she's not there. She's alive, but part of her soul is gone, or at least temporarily suspended. The God, being so beautiful, he sort of suspends consciousness a bit, kind of takes you into a zombie state for your own self-preservation, because the reality of what you are confronting is so ugly that just even the adrenaline and the heart rate and the stress and the trauma can kill you. I know as a Marine, you know, if we came up on somebody who was injured, it was a 4-step process. Start the breathing, stop the bleeding, protect the wound, treat for shock. If you're not breathing, that's number one. I don't care if you have an open wound. If you're not breathing, don't worry, the heart will stop, the blood will stop too. You need to get that person breathing, first thing. Once you have that established, so the first thing you should be doing is checking that airway. Are they breathing? Are they not? Once you got them breathing, then you have to stop the bleeding. Obviously, if you bleed out, you're going to die. Halal and kosher slaughter, that's the way it works, right? I mean, come on, you're going to bleed out, you're going to die. You got to get that wound covered and stop that bleeding, a tourniquet if necessary. Protect the wound. In Gaza right now, taking it into the current do you know how impossible it is to keep a wound protected in this environment? How many children and others are having amputations without anesthetic? Can you imagine not only the flesh being cut, but the bone being sawed through? For a child, this is what they're doing there. And then how do you dress that wound? I remember when I was in Gaza, I have a video up on Twitter, whatever, Israel's latest war crime, I called it. I had a job when I was in Gaza, and my job was to tell the truth. I did not do this for money, by the way. It was all about serving truth and God in my own way. So I lived there and I reported from there. And I had a deal with a taxi driver, and my deal was, as soon as there's a bombing, boom, come pick me up. Pick me up. We're going to wherever it is. So it was one of those nights, and they bombed. And so he came, he picked me up, we got to the site. What was it? When I got there, I'm asking, what is this site? Medical supplies is what it was. Medical supplies. So this is where I wanted to prove it, you know. They've got water and hoses, and they're trying to clear out some debris with a bulldozer that's burning so they can get that out of there. And I literally go into the building that's on fire, and as I would soon find out, starting to collapse. And I filmed right then and there, medical supplies, literally. So they bombed medical supplies, and this is 14 years ago. Do you know how short they are on these types of things right now? Oh my God. So you can't even treat the wound properly. And then the shock is what I saw in that little girl. Incredible, like shock, like in a zombie state. And all by God's divine design. Because this trauma that they are enduring is a trauma that some aren't ever going to recover from unless we all serve God in what I believe we must do, which is healing. Boy, oh boy, is there a massive amount of healing that must take place. And I would argue that the only way, the healing that is required to really sustain the humanity within us and bring us together as we need to be brought together is justice. Justice. I don't mean vengeance. Justice. And this is where the law comes in. Even as flawed, what poses as law, it's the color of law. Like mandates. That's not a law. An act of parliament, that's not a law. There is a law here. It's called the Bill of Rights. You have it. Of course, there's a higher law than that, which is God's law. And if your domestic laws counter God's law, then your duty is to violate the so-called laws of the state and honor God first. But we have an absence of God, and we have an ignorance that allows us to be used to submit. And if you submit to anything other than God, and God forbid you submit to the satanic agenda that they put out, how do you think you'll be judged? Regardless of how much you may be liked or how much money you make or whatever. I look forward to meeting God. I really do. I don't, you know, I am not afraid of God. I feel love, in fact, from day one. And I know there would be more time, and I'm not going to get into this whole thing and this is the kind of thing that I love having a conversation with the Sheikh about. The reason why I don't fear God is not because I think that there is nothing that I've done that isn't going to be punished, and in some ways maybe much more harshly than perhaps I know. I don't know, because I ain't God. I ain't going to play God. I will never be so delusional as to think that I'm anything other than a man that God created. and gave me a lot of amazing tools. Thank you, God. All praise to Allah for any good I've ever done. But I look forward to meeting God, and I think getting back to your story about the fish and how they disappeared, the 6 days a week that you're allowed, and then on the seventh day, when you can't, you have to either honor God or you have to honor God and go hungry or not. And I think that's sort of God's sense of humor, but there's a deeper lesson in that. But I think when I get to meet God in the form that God takes, I anticipate, I suppose, that we will have a chuckle, that there will be a laugh. And I look forward to hearing everything that I did wrong and really having an opportunity to grow further, because every day I walk this earth, my intention and my goal is to become better every day, to learn, to grow, to be humble. I've got the courage, I've got the strength, I'm taking care of my temple, and I'm so honored that I can sit on this stage and share this space with a man whom I love and respect so dearly. And I think that's probably about as much as I can say, other than my duty to my Palestinian family who I'm in touch with. And I do believe that it was said at the last event, if anybody has any donations or anything for Gaza on this evening, I don't know if anything is set up for that, but you have my word, and I'd love an accounting anyway for this to be counted like what was handed over. This will be sent to Gaza. It's not easy to get money into Gaza. In fact, we're kind of running close to maybe the end, because of the way that you receive money in Gaza has pretty much been all moved to Rafah, where they told everybody to go. But now Rafah is being attacked. People are dying. And what little infrastructure remains is now fast disappearing as well amongst the starving population. So all I can say is whatever is given to me, God will judge. If I were to take even one penny for myself, I know God should punish me horrendously if I took even one penny. Every single bit will go to Gaza/Palestine. And if I can't send it safely, then I would retain it and maybe put it into the pool or give it back to the master, whatever would be the appropriate way to do it, so that it can be used effectively. Because God forbid I make a mistake, I send money there and it doesn't get there. That would hurt too much. I'm not willing to do that. So anything and everything you give tonight, I will do my very best to help use that to save at least some lives. And on a personal note, I have a family over there. I don't even really like to say their names because I know they can track people over there. Even me being in contact with them puts them in danger. But I have a family there, and while they love Gaza and Palestine, and they don't really want to leave, I know they've been through such utter hell that they need some healing, and I want to get them out. I want to embrace them again. I want to help them heal, and I want to get the best English education for them so they can learn the language that's most useful and powerful right now to tell their story, to tell their truth. So I can tell you right now, some of the money will be used for that, but not for my own. I want to share it and spread it. And this family that I'm sending money to, they are sharing it and spreading it with not the family, but all of the people around. So it is that desperate. And God bless all of you for coming. Quality, not quantity. And while it would be nice to have an absolutely packed standing room only, I have always applied. I have spoken to an audience of one, I remember. And I had to laugh. This is where humility comes in. Be humble. All right? Quality, not quantity. So thank you for being the quality that makes such an event potentially powerful and in service to God. Thank you very, very much.
5 minutes?
20.
20 minutes. Oh, good time.
I got it right.
Good timing, yes. All right. We also want to make a collection for Gaza. But we want to do it in such a way that those who do not have anything to give will not feel embarrassed. Okay? So, Muhammad Amin, you tell me how we should do the collection. Maybe at the back, you could put something for people to put something inside it.
I think maybe Imran has something going.
Imran? Okay. We'll tell you how you can make a donation. And we have someone who donated something called karak tea, karak chai. It's very tasty. It's at the back. And you don't have to pay for that, but you can make a donation for Gaza. Okay? And we have a little time now for question and answers or any comments that you'd like to make. The Israeli offensive on Rafah is now taking place as we speak. The United States is warning Israel, don't do it. Britain is warning Israel, don't do it. The European Union is warning Israel, don't do it. And Israel is disregarding everybody. This is the profile of a state which wants to give us Pax Judaica. A Pax Judaica which will replace Pax Americana. I said this in my book, Jerusalem in the Quran, 20-something years ago. So there is some substance in what is in the Quran that could allow me to give this analysis. So what we're seeing now is the profile of a state that is disregarding world opinion. We don't care two peanuts for the world. We're going to do what we want to do. And yes, Ken, these are a barbarian people, barbarians. But the good news is that in the very heart of the West, the young ones are showing that they have human hearts. In all the universities of the United States, the heart of the modern Western world, young people are protesting and defying the centers of power in the United States, protesting in favor of Palestine and the Palestinians and against Israel. This is good news, that it is those who control power in modern Western civilization. They are Gog and Magog. So now we have a little time for question and answer. We start with the sisters.